Let's talk about the abandonment of our fellow Americans. Senator Cotton, I know for a fact, because you've been kind enough to keep me in the loop and you've been on my radio show, and your office has been working round the clock to help get Americans abandoned back to the country. Now, I don't know anything about the groups involved in this, but my understanding is the FBI is investigating them. Did they do something wrong by trying to fill the void because Joe Biden abandoned them?
Well, I don't know what they could have possibly done wrong, Sean. And if they're wrong, I don't want to be right, because you've had thousands of Americans over the last 45 days who have joined together, battle buddies who have reconnected from their time in the service to try to get out the Afghans who worked with them, nonprofit organizations, very rich, generous philanthropists across this country funding charter flights or funding homes here in America, all designed to try to correct for the failures of President Biden. That's what we heard today, is that President Biden repeatedly rejected the advice of his military commanders, and that's what led to this disaster, and now he's been lying about it.
Okay, that's my next question. So every one of the people that testified today said that, no, they advised Biden to have 2,500 people. I just played the tape of Biden denying that. So the president lied. Why would the president lie about that?
Sean, I think it's a very simple question. He was covering up his tracks in the middle of an ongoing fiasco. He gave that interview to George Stephanopoulos, I think the day after Kabul fell and we saw Afghans clinging to the sides of a C-17 and plummeting to their death. Now, Joe Biden has always liked to talk tough and about how he stood up to the generals when he was vice president, and he was the only one who said that Barack Obama shouldn't send more troops there. He liked to talk tough earlier this year, saying that he rejected the advice of his military generals. And that was everyone: the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Commanding General of Central Command, the Commanding General in Afghanistan. All of them, we now know, said you should keep this small force there. Back in the spring, he liked to peddle the story that showed him being tough. And last month, he was lying about it because he wanted political cover.
Is it the role of a chairman of the Joint Chiefs to talk to authors like Woodward and Rucker and Bender and so many others? And what did you make of Milley's admission that he said he did talk to his Chinese counterpart and admitted that he would? My interpretation, he was very clear. He admitted, yeah, I'll probably tell you myself if we're going to attack them. And what about plotting and planning and scheming and getting whatever he did with Nancy Pelosi? We don't know the details yet, but also getting a loyalty oath from other top military leaders. Can you tell me, does that seem like the job of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Or is somebody that not only needs to be fired, but investigated?
So, Sean, he contradicted the claims in certain relevant aspects of what Bob Woodward wrote in that book. And I certainly don't always take Bob Woodward at face value. I do want to get all the facts, though, and because of that contradiction, that's why I asked General Milley today and Secretary Austin as well to produce the call notes from those calls as well as the participants of all those calls. These are things that are knowable facts. We can get to the bottom of them and we can make an assessment based on all the evidence. And I asked Secretary Austin to produce those in a timely fashion without needless classification redactions on them. So we should know that very soon.
Let me ask you a last question. General Austin testifying today, he can't confirm or deny that 4,000 Americans are left in Afghanistan. Now, they say less than 100. I hear from people, like yourself and Darrell Issa and others that are working hard to get innocent Americans home. I personally don't believe that there are 4,000 American citizens, he said, left in Afghanistan. But I cannot confirm or deny that. Senator, is it possible that we abandoned thousands of American citizens? How many people? Why don't we get a definitive number by this point? How many people did we stab in the back and abandon there? How many people?
Well, Sean, it's the same story we've heard from the Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, whose responsibility it is to know the answers to those questions. But I do think when you add up American citizens and green card holders who have a right to travel in and out of this country, live and work here. Yeah,
he admitted that.
And their families, and that's to say nothing of the fact, Sean, that of all the thousands of Afghans we brought out who had no connection to the United States at all, about whom we know almost nothing, we also left behind thousands of Afghans who were approved and vetted special immigrant visa holders. This is all a result of Joe Biden's chaotic, disorganized, ill-planned withdrawal from Afghanistan, which we heard today.
God help all of them, and I mean that, because honestly, every day that passes is not good for them. and there's no plan to even begin an effort to extract them. It is unconscionable that we did this to our fellow Americans. Thank you, Senator. Good job today. When we come back.